Greetings, my name is Rudimentary Rob. Welcome to another type of survival game. The one we're going to have a bash at today is called Raft. Now, I have played a bit of this game, but not since they released, I believe, the last one or two lots. So I think the city was kind of the last step that I did when I was playing it originally. So it's been in my to-do list for a while to go back and, re-explore the start of the game, but then continue on so that I can, finish all the new stuff that I haven't done already. So, yeah, you better strap yourself in, put your flip-flops on, or your, whatever you want to call them, and sit back while I have a mild panic attack during what is the initial phase of Raft. Now, Raft is a survival game, and as the name entails, it involves a raft, and that is pretty much the game in a nutshell. You spawn in with a gathering hook, and bear with me while I remember how this thing works. There we go. As you can see, we can gather resources out of the ocean. You can control how far, you throw your hook by how long you kind of hold the button down. The goal here is all of the stuff you could ever want in the world is just floating past you, and you just have to gather it up. Well, that's not entirely true. There will be some other locations where we will want other things, but all of the basic building materials just float along on the top of the ocean just like this. Now, for those eagle-eyed viewers, you will obviously have noticed there is a rather large and angry-looking shark that is more or less constantly circling the raft. And occasionally, he will want to chew pieces off your raft. So, I'm painfully aware that you do get a little bit of time at the start to gather some bits and pieces, but that's not unlimited. And so you can't fend the shark off with a hook. You need to make yourself a spear, and the spear takes wood and rope. So that is our first little goal here, is to gather ourselves a whole bunch of wood, a whole bunch of rope, make ourselves a spear, and hopefully not lose a piece of our raft in the first couple of minutes of gameplay. Now, I often make jokes about a lot of survival games where your character spawns in and they must have a tapeworm or something because they are just constantly hungry and constantly thirsty. And it may not look like it at the moment, but I'm going to say before too long, you're going to realize that Raft is another one of those survival games where food and water are not just a useful thing to have around. You're going to need to spend a lot of time trying to make sure you've got enough. And in these early parts of the game where you're still out in the ocean and you're relying on luck of the draw in terms of those barrels, you're going to struggle to have enough. And it kind of doesn't get much better from there for a while. So, yeah, you will not ever probably see me do a live commentary of Raft from the beginning. It's just too demanding on your brain, to be honest. If you mess up too many throws, you're wearing your hook down for no reason, which is a waste of resources. If you miss too many barrels, you might not end up getting enough food. Yeah, you can play this game on easier modes, but normal is my default. And, well, a little bit of panic every now and again does help you keep your, heart rate up and just confirm to the world that you are still alive. So, whatever floats your boat, quite literally in this case. I do love the atmospheric music in this game. It is so kind of calming and soothing, and honestly, there are times where if you didn't have that, I think you would probably be screaming at the wall. But for me, it kind of works. You know, it's a bit of a mind-numbing or brain-dead activity to be throwing the hook out once you get the hang of it. And just having a bit of soothing music in the background just kind of makes it all go a bit smoother. So yeah, it's a really good game that way. And honestly, if it wasn't so well thought out and so well put together, I don't think I would have ended up playing it for more than about 5 minutes originally, because this first part of the game is just, you know, nuts. You've only got this little 2x2 square of raft, and, well, we don't even have that anymore. And you've just got to gather and gather and gather to then try and expand on it, but at the same time, there is a shark that does want to chew bits out of it. So, yeah. We didn't do too bad at the start of this one. Having played the game, I don't know. I'll have to look at my Steam to see how many hours, but having played quite a lot of this game, admittedly a good chunk of it has been multiplayer, but the startup is a little bit less stressful when you're, when you've got a bit of experience under your belt when it comes to the game. So getting back to the gameplay, the island, if you go past an island like this, there are smaller ones, and I probably wouldn't stop on a smaller one, because that anchor is only single use, and it is actually quite demanding on resources this early in the game. But what we're looking to do, and what I was hoping to do, was to get enough resources to get the rest of my tools sorted. Yeah, minor spoiler, we didn't quite get there. But we did get some really useful stuff from this island. And the flowers weren't, something that was particularly useful. You do need the flowers later, but much, much, much later. Honestly, I probably shouldn't have bothered picking them at all at this stage. They are all reasonably common to find on these islands. But I thought, mouse over it. It says pick me, so yeah, that's what I did. These islands, the main reason to stop here is it gives you an opportunity to get some of the bigger fruit. But it's that. You'll get these little cooler looking chests, and they'll usually have recipes in them. Not to mention they have a lot of other really useful stuff in them as well. So if you don't get anything else off the island that you've stopped at, make sure that you're getting that. That said though, these islands have far more uses. The stone that I need for my axe is in the reef around the island, as well as the two types of metal that we have access to at this stage, so copper and iron. We also need clay. Also, we can get scrap metal, which up to this point you'd only get that out of the barrels or the chests. And you can get seaweed, which becomes very important as well. So there is a lot to gather on these islands, even these small to medium ones. But as you can see, depending on where you choose to go into the water, that shark is an ever-present problem, and he will definitely take a sizable piece out of you if you give him the opportunity. So we're not doing that. The shark will hang around wherever the raft is. And so if you're parked, like if you've parked the raft at one end of the island and you run down the other end of the island, you'll find that you can gather like completely unmolested by the shark. The shark is just occupied with being near the raft, and that's good enough for him. And in my case, I'm actually happy for him to be there at this stage because there's not much raft to speak of. And if he wants to chew another piece or two out of it between now and when I get back, I honestly would expect no less. Just to get a completely uninterrupted run at this reef. Now, when you're diving, most of the items on the sea floor, you are going to use your hook. So bear in mind, never use all of the resources when it comes to what you need to make your hook, which is, I think it's just wood and plastic. So never run out of wood and plastic, because if you lose your hook, yeah, it's going to be quite painful to gather until you get another one. But while you're swimming around, you'll see the air meter is at the top, and it goes down, reasonably quickly. Now, for the attentive viewer, they might have noticed a bunch of stuff floating up to the surface. And that's what happens in Raft if you don't have enough inventory space. If you don't have room to pick things up, it will just sit there, or if you're in the water, it will just float up to the surface. So I'm just choosing to eat a little bit of food here just to make some room. And I'm now realizing that picking up the flowers was utterly pointless. So for now, I'm just going to keep the seeds, because with seeds, I can always grow more flowers. But the flowers themselves are pretty much pointless at this stage. So they can, yeah, they can go out and take a long run off a short raft. Yep, and here we go. There goes our first hook. It's all worn out. So we need to make ourselves another one, and sure enough, we just need a plank and a piece of plastic, which we have enough of. So we crack out another one, and that will keep us going for a while. We're going to continue to gather clay and stone, and pretty much everything else we can get our hook on. Clay is very important for some technologies along the way. And stone, we need that for our stone tools. So for the axe and, things of that nature. So we do not want to run out of that. In fact, now I think about it, there's actually a mountain of different things that you need those for. So, yeah, never run short on any of those basic building materials. Alright, now we have reached the can you juggle multiple dramas at the same time part of the game. As you can see from our thirst meter, it is flashing away, and we are down in the having trouble seeing and dying of thirst section of that bar. You can still continue to do things, but your vision gets a bit freaky, and yeah, your coordination gets a bit funky too. So luckily, from that island, we got a couple of watermelons. Now, the watermelons are big items, and so you get more than one gulp at them. So for watermelons, you actually get two. So having two watermelons, they do give you a lot of water and a little bit of food value. So at this point in the game, they're definitely a luxury. and they've bought me a bit of time to try and, get some other things going. Now, the first thing I'm going to throw down here is a research bench. Now, in Raft, you unlock a lot of, well, pretty much everything really, by researching the raw materials or the modified materials. So, for example, I'm researching the rope, and now you can see for the recipes at the top there, the rope is now unlocked. I'm now going through some of the other items I've got. So the seaweed, the potato, no, none of the raw foods appear to do anything. Seeds don't work. Yep, we're going to research our leaves, our hinges, and it actually consumes the item when you do that. So as much as that hinge would have been really useful, it's more useful to use it to unlock recipes. So now, through researching basic materials, we've unlocked a few extra recipes, including the bigger chest, a bucket, and a few other things there as well. So most of those unlocked items are going to be a bit more demanding on materials, or they may need materials that we don't quite have access to enough of at the moment. But it's still worth unlocking them, because there will come a time where I will definitely want bigger chests, and I will have the resources to make them. But for the moment, I don't. So we're just going to make use of our little plastic esky style storage. And we're going to slap one of those down so we can start clearing a bit of our inventory to make it a bit easier to continue to gather. Yeah, I'm reaching the point where I'm making a value decision about whether or not to stay connected to the island. The problem I've got is, while I'm not drifting, I'm not being presented with opportunities to pick up more, plastic and wood and palm leaves. And because I can't make my axe, I can't get access to wood and palm leaves just by chopping trees down, which is actually a really good way of getting it. So regrettably, I've had to cast off from that island and go back to my random drifting to try and get the materials we need to, advance our technology further. Now, I'd sort of forgotten that you have to, do things a bit differently with the building mallet in terms of repairing, but I do work that out. Ironically, if I'd actually just read the screen properly, I'd have worked it out a lot quicker, but hey, that's me. The tooltips in this game are absolutely fantastic. If you're not quite sure how to do something, chances are if you mouse over it, it's going to tell you. So, yeah. Very, very well designed little game, this one. Yeah, the tapeworm's been busy again, so we've eaten one of the last bits of watermelon. We got one more chew on it and then we'll be out. Between now and then, I'm going to really need to work on, at the very least, the ability to make water. But we're going to be crying out for some food pretty soon too. So, yeah, you've always got this little, pressure to move things forward. It's definitely not a game that you could AFK for 5 minutes, come back and find that everything's okay. You'll want to be pausing the game or exiting out if you're going to be away for even more than 2 or 3 minutes at this stage. Yeah, I probably should have looked at the purifier recipe before I converted all my palm leaves into rope to try and make a fishing rod. Uh, General rule of thumb, probably making a water purifier is one of the first bits of kit that you should be making. The fact that I haven't got one already is probably testament to just how rusty I am in this game. The water purifier, it's okay. It's better than not having anything at all. But it is rather slow to produce water, but it will keep up with your thirst needs. But you do need to keep gathering, wood to keep it fueled. It's a bit of a similar story with the grill. The grill is something that we're going to want to make, but honestly, we can leave it until after we've got a fishing rod and probably a little bit more storage. But it's still pretty high on my list of things to do at this stage. Yeah, I'm sort of a little bit in panic mode at this stage. I went and made a small crop plot without realizing that, well, unless it's raining, I need to have a ready supply of water to keep it watered. And then, add insult to injury, I've got to fight, birds off in addition to, Mr. Chomps over here. To stop them from eating my crops. So not to mention, we're going to need a bit more room for it anyway. So making that small crop plot, probably not a good move at this stage, but you know me and, fumbling my way through certain parts of games. Yeah, that's just all that's going on here. It is making me short on things that could be useful. So I've kind of dug myself a bit of a hole here, so to speak. Now the challenge is to get myself back out of it again. Alright, now, small irony here. We are in the process of kind of literally starving to death. But I finally pulling my finger out and actually making the simple purifier. Now, the simple purifier, essentially just put seawater in the top, planks in the bottom, and it automatically collects, pure water out of it at a rate of, 1 glass per cycle. But as I mentioned earlier, that is quick enough to, stay ahead of your thirst needs. If you've got a crop plot as well, you could probably do both off one purifier, but you are going to be pretty much cranking it to ensure you've got enough water. If you're going to have crop plots, often it's better to have more than one, and that's where you're going to want a purifier set aside just to do the water for the crop plots. Although, when it's raining like it is at the moment, you won't need to water your plants because the rain takes care of that. So it's a bit of a balancing act, but at the moment, things are going south pretty quick. We are thirsty, and we are very, very hungry, and we're trying to do what we can to remember how to use this thing. And I forgot that I have to, yeah, there we go. We have to empty it out first, get all the fresh water out of it, and then we can fill the cup with salt water, reload it, and then, rinse, repeat. However, the food meter is about to run out. Our tapeworm is about to, bring our life to a close. But it isn't, because we must have got lucky in one of the recent chests. We got a couple of beets, and that is going to stave off our starvation for a little bit longer. Yeah. Still not looking great yet. Alright, you will come across these little floating rafts out there. They've got usually a single chest on them, and you can swim to them, you can get on there, and you can loot the chest. But the moment you loot the chest, that raft will start sinking. And the other thing you need to bear in mind is the time it takes you to swim there and swim back. Your raft is going to keep going, unless of course you've anchored it to that one. And little Mr. Chomps there is definitely going to be trying to go you the whole time that you're in the water. So given I'm already starving, which means I'm probably not going to be swimming at full speed anyway, I've elected to give that raft a miss, and hopefully we can have ourselves in a better situation next time we come across one of those rafts, and then I'll show you how they work. Alright, and as we continue our manic gathering, I'm going to let you know that we have essentially reached the end of this episode. So if you're thinking that this could be a nice series, then please remember to leave a comment down below and give me a thumbs up on the video. And I would be happy to continue the series if if anyone wanted me to do so. For the moment, I'm going to keep recording like single episodes of a number of more different games that I have there that I wouldn't mind continuing or trying to finish. So if this wasn't for you, keep your ear out. There will be more of these videos. I think I'm going to release one each Friday, Friday midnight my time. And if any of those future videos grab your attention, then make sure you jump in the comments and let me know. And also give me a thumbs up, so that helps me out with working out which series or series you guys want me to continue with. So now that we're at the end of the episode, I'd like to thank you for watching. If you want to see more of my content, make sure you remember to give me a thumbs up and to consider subscribing if you have not already done so. Until next time, my name is Rudimentary Rob. Thank you very much for watching and have yourself an absolutely fantastic day.